This is session 7 in the audio series, Overcoming Social Anxiety, Step by Step. As usual, we want to review and reiterate the cognitive therapy you were working on last week before we get started on the new material for this week. Remember, and I am repeating this deliberately, that practicing, consistently carrying out your cognitive therapy is what will keep you moving forward in a positive direction toward healing and away from social anxiety. There is no way to change your thoughts, actions, and beliefs without this persistence and practice. There are no shortcuts to getting better. I wish there were. But when you try to save time by taking a shortcut, you end up missing out on essential, necessary therapeutic information and wasting a lot of time in the process. It's like reading the last chapter of the book first. You may know what the ending is, but you've missed all the important details in between. Shortcuts to therapy simply do not work. So I encourage you again to stick with the program, keep moving ahead with your therapy, and get those concepts, statements, beliefs, and new thoughts deeply down into your brain so that you can continue to think more rationally, accurately, and positively. If you've been doing this, pat yourself on the back right now. By going through this program systematically, you are guaranteeing that you will see positive changes in your life. Last week, we started with the handout Attitudes. We wanted to practice saying and feeling these attitudes so that when we find ourselves in an anxiety situation, these short attitude statements will pop up automatically into our minds. Here are some of the attitude statements. So what? Who cares? Why am I dwelling on this? Why do I need to make a mountain out of a molehill? I've got better things to do than worry about this. It's no big deal. These attitudes, which you've used before in other situations in your life, are very close to being beliefs and emotions. That's why they can be a very powerful help to us at this point in our progress. For example, if I work at a retail store and have to face an irate customer who is cursing, screaming, and making a scene concerning something I have no control over, my internal, rational response should not be fear or anxiety. Instead, I should say to myself, so what? This customer has a problem. He needs to calm down so we can have a discussion like two adults. But he is out of control. He's acting like a spoiled child. Notice you are the one being rational here. You are not letting the other person's negative emotions ruin your day or your hour. You realize that if this person is mad at you personally, there's something wrong with him. You didn't do anything to make him respond in such an adolescent way. He has some growing up to do emotionally, and you'll be glad to speak to him when he calms down a little. Then you can discuss things with him like an adult. But you are the one who has been accurate in this case. There is nothing to beat yourself up about here. You have done nothing wrong whatsoever. It is the other person who is acting irrationally and childishly, and you can't control that. All you can do is realize there's something wrong with the other person. If someone loses their temper, so what? They have a problem, not you, and they are the one that has to get over it. If they don't get over it, who cares? Do you really want to know someone like that anyway? This person is not going to be one of your friends. So, who cares? They can come back when they grow up. And if they never grow up, too bad for them. But it's no big deal. You don't have any control over their choices and actions. You are not to blame just because someone is yelling at you. The other person is acting irrationally and childishly. If they want to fling sand around in their little sandbox of life, let them. But you don't have to play their childish games. From this frame of mind, you are now seeing things more rationally and accurately. Sometimes, when we dwell on our old automatic negative thoughts and don't catch ourselves, we want the "why am I dwelling on this" statement to pop into our minds. After all, why do I need to torture myself about things I can't change or about other people's opinions and ideas? My ideas and opinions are just as important as anyone else's. So why am I making a mountain out of a molehill? It's no big deal. We want to feel these emotions, not just say the words. So use the tone of your voice to start to be able to feel it when you say, "Who cares?" or "So what? It's no big deal." Again, as with all the therapy, keep practicing these attitude statements until they start popping into your mind automatically when you're in a real situation and need to use them. When they pop into your mind, hold on to them, repeat them to yourself, and the anxiety will begin to subside. The second handout we talked about last week was how you see yourself in the world. This concept that you create or make the world around you by the way you act and behave is not a new concept. This is a form of the self-fulfilling prophecy that was discovered by social psychologists many decades ago. For those of us with social anxiety, this is a rethinking strategy as well. We need to start viewing ourselves more accurately and realistically. Part of our problem with social anxiety is that we have not seen ourselves realistically in the past. We have had a lifelong tendency to put ourselves down, beat ourselves up, feel guilty about things we don't have any control over, take things too personally, over-exaggerate situations, and to see ourselves as being less important than other people. As a result of all this irrational thinking, we naturally expect our future to be as bad as our present. All of these thoughts are nothing more than old ants' lies. But we need to start realizing this and labeling those old thoughts as ants' lies, because that is the truth. How we see ourselves is vitally important, because if we see ourselves as talented, capable, intelligent people, these qualities will come to the forefront and begin to control our thoughts and actions. It is only our anxiety that has held them back all these years, and we are now in the process of putting everything in order. The third concept we talked about last week was the two competing neural pathways in your brain. Your nerve cells, or neurons, set up a pattern of associations that can lead in many different directions. We are concerned here about the old pathways that lead us to thoughts and feelings of anxiety, inhibition, and fear. As we learn to stop using these pathways, and remember, here is where the repetition, reinforcement, and rehearsal come in, this old pathway can no longer be used for anxiety messages and must start to be used for something else. At the same time, you are literally creating and building new neural pathways by the use of your new thoughts and beliefs. All the handout material you are reading out loud and dropping into your brain, plus the real-life thoughts and actions you're beginning to use as a result of your new knowledge, become a part of this new neural pathway as well. This new neural pathway will continue to grow stronger as you reinforce it and use it. The more you use and repeat your cognitive therapy, the stronger your new neural pathways will grow. This is not just an analogy or an example. This rational, accurate therapy you are learning literally creates new channels, associations, or pathways in your brain, so that if you reinforce them long enough and start to act on them, these pathways become the dominant pathways in your brain. These pathways become the way you think. Right now, however, remember that both pathways exist in your brain, and you are learning not to use that old pathway. You are in the process of using your new neural pathway as much as you can. The new neural pathway develops faster and stronger the more you are able to use your cognitive methods, concepts, statements, and strategies. So again, I hope you can see why we emphasize repetition, reinforcement, and persistence with the cognitive therapy. This week's new therapy includes a group of statements called the de-stressing strategies that are short and directly to the point. These are factual statements we want to get into our minds to cut down on our old habits of over-exaggeration, blowing things out of proportion, and escalating our cycle of anxiety. Through this handout, we want to slow down, move in a more peaceful frame of mind, take a few steps back, and reassess what is going on around us. These statements are found on your next handout, called the de-stressing strategies. Please get it out of your notebook so you can follow along with me as I read. Don't take life so seriously. Lighten up and take it easy. This is not a life and death experience. This is not an either-or, black or white situation. Take a deep breath, let go, and just relax. The world is not going to end over this, guaranteed. There is humor in almost everything, even this. Do a paradox. Carry your worries out to ridiculous lengths and laugh about them. Don't listen to anxiety feelings. They are ants' lies. Listen to the truth. All you can do is your best, and then forget about it.